All right, we're good. Pei
Good.
Lin, welcome to the podcast. How are you?
Good. Thank you.
Well, this is interesting. This is new for me. Like we're in the swimming world and we're doing diving now. So this is a new experience for me, and I'm excited to do this with you. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I know, with swimming, it is a lots of viewers and lots of people that in the world. And I do believe swim teams and dive teams, they are all together in this college team. So very appreciate for the opportunity and glad to be here today.
Yeah. Now listen, congratulations on taking the job at Cal. You just started there for the men's and women's program, trying to rebuild this thing and kind of match up with where the swim teams have been the last 10, 15 years. So that's a big deal.
It is, but we are very exciting. I think we can make this happen. And with all the resources here at Cal's, I totally, just looking at the swim team, they're so success with all of the national champion, international champions, and all the people that success in the world. I believe Cal has the resources that we can build the same teams as the swim teams at here.
Now, listen, one of the things I wanted to bring you on and talk about, obviously, is kind of Chinese domination in the sport of diving across the world, primarily, right? And kind of talk to us about your experiences growing up, and then how did you end up in college, and what was that like? Because I'd imagine it's difficult to leave and come to America and compete here. I'm not sure what the process is like, so I kind of want to dig into all of that. So first of all, just in terms of your background, where did you start diving and why?
Yeah, great question. So let's explain the why first. My mom's friend, who is a gymnastic coach and
Hmm.
also a diving coach, and so I kind of got into it when I got into gymnastic when I was 7 years old, and so I
Hmm.
kind of like did that to a year and a half, and then I decided like maybe that's not for me with gymnastic,
Hmm.
and so I kind of like stopped doing sport for a couple years and just focusing on school. And but then when I was in middle school, I was like, maybe I'm not those kids that like to sit in the classroom and just listen to the teacher say, I know. But
Oh,
then
really?
yeah, yeah, my mom's friends, who is the dive coach, asked that if I wanted to come and just hang out there with on the pool decks and in the dry room. So I say, yeah, sure. And so my mom's brought me there. And so that's how I got into diving when I was 13 years old. And so I started a little bit later than normal group age. But yeah,
Mm.
it's kind of, I got into diving then.
It
Started.
does seem like there's some sort of natural progression from gymnastics to diving. Is there a lot of similarities between the two sports?
Well, some of them, yes, the flexibility wise and
Hmm.
the body positions. And so they both are very flipping sports, I would say.
Hmm.
And so, some of the requirements are the similar.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, my dog is actually in the background. She's decided to pick up a toy that's squeaking right now. I'm trying to get it off her while you were talking. So I apologize for the squeaking. This is not normal. I don't know what's happening. Um, she's a cute dog, but she's having some fun with a squeak toy right now. But listen, so in terms of why would you say 13 is late in terms of the diving side of things? Do we need to start younger than that on the boards?
Uh, Not exactly, but most of the people they kind of into a sport with in a very early age, and so I believe not just like diving or not just gymnastics. A lot like I think
Mm-hmm.
swimming. A lot of the younger groups that got into swimming are like they're 6 years old. Just
Mm-hmm.
start with the fundamental stuff, and so I kind of got into diving. I think is a little bit later than the a normal group is because I at that time I didn't have those fundamental stuff, but I did have a little bit gymnastic program
Mm-hmm.
backgrounds, and so flexibility wise, I was okay. And so when you start like right now, if I'm like a 28, 29 years old, and then I start diving, will be a little bit too late because your body functions not the same, and so the
Mm-hmm.
flexibility wise is different as well, and how you feel about when you are flipping on the air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me this now, looking back from your time in America, your time in growing up in China, is culturally there's obviously differences. Are there things that they do differently at that age that we don't do in America, or that we do? Is there certain things that are done differently at that age?
You mean when this starting with the younger groups age?
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, I didn't like, to be honest, I didn't see a lot of differences between, people that trains in the US when they
Hmm.
start in early age, and people that trains in China starting at early age. They all
Hmm.
go through the similar process. A lot, you will see a lot of kids that in the US they do have a gymnastic program as well, gymnastic background as well.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, no, in that kind of sense, when you kind of start diving, I don't see a lot like a big difference between the two countries. I think the only differences I will say is that here you need to pay for it by yourself, and so, and it's parents involving a lot, and in
Hmm.
China's we pay, maybe it's like half of the price, but then you get a very it's like not as much as parents involving with the sports. I would say that.
Oh, really? Okay. So, is sport encouraged in China? So, like, do you have to play a sport in a way? Is that something that is kind of in the system, the education system?
Yeah, so sport, it does in covers with the sports, the education system. So it doesn't matter that you are in a early age, like middle school or high school. Then yes, sport is like you have to pick one of sport to play around, and so like if they wanted to have a better education backgrounds, not letting not only students in the classroom but outside of classroom as well.
Yeah. When did you figure out you had talent for this, or even maybe a passion for it? When was that kind of something that you figured out?
I would say when I was very early age, because since that I kind of start with gymnastic, like to be an Olympian champion has always been my dream, and it's in my blood. It still does today, and so
Mm.
yeah, it kind of started when I was watching TV, and then I don't remember what year was it, but then I saw this Chinese girls that wanting the Olympic and stood on the polio, and I was like, oh my god, that's what I wanted to be one day. And so
Mm.
yeah, it is still, that's my goals as well right now today as a coach. I still want to be that positions and to help more younger athlete, younger diver to achieve their dream.
How old were you when Beijing was going on?
How old was I? Beijing was 2008, isn't it? I think I was like 18, 19,
So
something.
you do remember Beijing, like watching it and all that sort of stuff?
Oh yeah, yeah. Because I have a couple friends that competes in Beijing's during the
Mm.
Olympics. So yeah,
Oh,
that
okay.
was it was very impressive.
Were you close to making the team at that point?
I was not with 2008, but then I remember with 2016 is Rio. Before Rio, I actually competes in China. In China, it was an Olympic trial for China, and I actually was a place on top threes on one of the synchro events. But
Mm.
yeah, I was very close to go to Rio's.
Right. Wow. So I guess it's super competitive in China. I mean, it seems like the Chinese divers are just so dominating. So what are the factors then in terms of the things that separate the Chinese from the rest of the world? They're starting at the same age, they're getting similar coaching, but once they get to a certain level, they're completely dominating. So what do you think the difference is?
Well, I think yeah, obviously a lot of people that in the diving world know, yes, Chinese diver, they do practice a long hour, and that includes myself as well. I used to be practicing a long hours in my backgrounds, and one thing that I really recognize once, I didn't recognize earlier when I was an athlete, when I was in competing as an NCAA athlete.
Mm.
But now as a coach, I kind of like slowly kind of figure out like, oh, what is the differences? Because that's something that I want to know. Like
Mm.
we are spending the same time, if we are using the same resources that we have, then what is really the differences? Why are they so good? And what can I help to bring the diver to the next level in here in the US? And so I think one thing that I really recognize is that we wanted to be perfect. We wanted to be a perfect, like a perfection
Mm-hmm.
when I was training in China. So what Chinese, I think, like just my personal opinion, that
Mm-hmm.
I think in China we're looking for perfection, but then in the US that now I'm coaching, I think we are more towards to professional. And so
Mm-hmm.
we are doing the same thing that other people's doing, and we are very professional, but perfection is another way. Like we in China, we want to be perfect. We want to be at every single dive. The judges cannot see anything. Like they can take off even a 0.5 points out of that dive. But in US, we are still, trying to be profession. If that, yeah.
It's interesting. It's an interesting perspective, professional as opposed to perfectionist, and that's an interesting concept. So the way that I think that, or I kind of analyze that, is as a professional, you do things the right way, but as a perfectionist, you only do things to the point where you're satisfied with it being perfect, right?
Yeah.
And there becomes almost an obsession then of the perfection then takes over from just the professionalism of like, okay,
Mhm.
I missed a dive. All right, well, I'll come back and do it tomorrow. Whereas as a perfectionist, it's more like I'm going to get this right now, and I'm not leaving until I get it right. Would that be correct?
Yes, that is totally correct. I totally 100% agrees with your points, and I think that's what I'm seeing right now today as a coach and as a very high performing athlete when I was younger, and so that's, I think we are getting better. I think USA diving and divers in the US is like getting there. Is like I want it to be better step by step, but we are still in the point like there to be a professional instead of perfection.
Swim Angelfish. Swim Angelfish is an online certification program that strengthens your teaching curriculum to serve swimmers of all abilities. Swim Angelfish will prepare you and your instructors with the skills to teach swimmers with autism, physical disabilities, anxiety, sensory and motor conditions, and more. Learn to teach skills faster and with more comfort with Swim Angelfish. Apply for an Only Alpha Pool Product Scholarship and receive up to 50% off your certification. Go to swimangelfish.com today to apply. We individualize training in the pool, so why not individualize your nutrition? Erica Beine of Beine Wellness Building will help you and your swimmers get exactly what each athlete needs through genetic testing and personalized nutrition plans. So stop guessing what you should and shouldn't be putting into your body. Athletes within a few weeks have noticed they're recovering faster because they're fueling their body with what they need and staying away from what their body hates. Erica understands swimming. She gets it. She's worked with over 20 Olympians, including the fastest man in the world, Caleb Dressel. Group discounts are available, so go to Beine Wellness Building and get in touch with Erica today. That's Beine, Beine, wellnessbuilding.net. Is there an American that you can pinpoint who's come close to that? Who, in terms of the Chinese mentality of perfectionism, is there an American that stands out in your mind in recent memory?
Yes, I do have a Sarah Bacon who's
Uh-huh.
diving for University of Minnesota. It is
Okay.
one of the talents kid. She's worked hard. She's like giving her 120% power to work hard every day. And I think that I saw her grow because when I was a senior, she was a freshman, and so all of the journey that she have been through, I was actually there, kind of like watch her to go through this path, and yeah, she's the one that I can think in my head that she's really trying her best and wanted to be perfection.
Right. Interesting. That's cool. Well, that's a nice little shout out to her right there. So, in terms of the competitive side, when everybody else comes up against the Chinese, is there almost this psychological effect already of like they're going to be better than us, they're more disciplined, or they're better in terms of technique? Like there must be some psychological factor before the dive even happens, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of thought that going behind your head. I think it's similar to any kind of sports, and so when I was like I said, if you hitting the points, like you know that you can do this dive
Mm,
because you are achieving a perfection. Yeah,
Hmm.
you want it to be a perfect dive, then you
Hmm.
know you can do it. You don't get a lot of the stuff get into your head, and so that way you can focus on more. But if you kind of just being like you did this dive for period of time, but then you still have missing the dive when you're doing the practice, then maybe some of the thoughts gonna get into your head like, oh, maybe I'm not gonna hit this dive well. Maybe this is gonna happen, or maybe that's gonna
Mm.
happen. There's a lot of thoughts going to your head, and that's why we think that the consistencies in China when we train is that okay, we always achieving for, like you said, that we always wanted to be a perfect in every single dive.
Mm. Mm. What about in terms of your best competitions? Have you gone into kind of this flow state that they talk about where when you've been diving at your best, it's almost like you can't remember what you did. It's you go into kind of an automatic mode and the dives are just hitting and then you look back and you think to yourself, oh, I can't even remember how I did that. It just happened. Is that correct?
Yes, that is actually I have experienced once when I was competing with NCAA. I don't remember what year. I think it was 2019. I remember that was at IUPUI when I was competing at the NCAA, and
Hmm.
then it was the final on 3 meter, and so it kind of like nothing get into my head. It's kind of like my body just keep doing it itself. I can explain like clearly is what that feeling is, but then yeah, it hit to the point that you don't even need to think, but your body's kind of just react.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. I guess that's all the training. Now, as the cow coach, you're going to be restricted to 20 hours. Do you feel like you can be effective in 20 hours? Do you feel like you can get these kids to where they need to be competitive, maybe even on a world stage within the 20-hour framework?
Yes, yes, I believe that can happen. And like I said, because I kind of myself, if you look at my experience, used to be trained in China all the way till I was 18 or 19 years old, and then came here for college. I was strict with the 20 hours as well, but then
Mm,
my levels didn't get lower than what I used to, but it actually grew better. So I think that because my experience, that experience as a high performance athlete in China, trained in a longer hour, over 20 hours a week, and as a student athlete who trains only 20 hours a week, but then the benefits actually 20 hours a week is actually better. And
mm,
because myself have those experience, and I do believe that I can make that a easier way to going forwards with the cows program. And so yes, my goal is to be an Olympian champions coach. And so I do believe that my ability here at cows and with all the resources and people's helping me, we can make this happen.
wow. Oh, awesome. That's exciting. What about this? This is a strange question, but like, why Chinese diving? Why is it diving? Why are you so good at diving? Like, why don't you dominate? Like swimming. Let's say, like the Chinese are unbeatable in swimming, but diving seems to be the thing that is just like you're. Are the Chinese just built for diving for some reason? Like you're more flexible than me or something? Like what is it? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think in general speaking, Asian people are more tends to have a little bit shorter body. Like I'm not tall and I'm little, and so I guess just the body types and how you feel. Because some people the gymnastic, it's just kind of like an experience, and then how you build yourself will kind of tends to value to the certain sport that fits you and like
Mm,
um, no, but that's a great question. But I think one is just the body type, and then second, it's just the system that they have creates back into the 80 or back even earlier when all the Chinese and winning all the titles in international games. And I think they have their consistency with their system, how they work in China, speaking with the diving wise. And so I think that helps a lot with the futures building like all the
mm.
Olympian champions in the sport of diving.
What about the nutrition's obviously a big thing in athletics, and you come from a country where you have completely different food choices and nutrition, and now you come to America and you've got all this stuff. And look, even as an Australian, I was like, what is all this stuff that we got here now? It's like it's such a like it's too much. honestly, America, it's too much. But did you did you have some struggles with this as well in terms of the food that was now on offer to you?
No, not really. I think it really depends individualized. But for myself, no, I have not yet having like choosing and like food options or know what I needed to take to keep my body healthy. And
Hmm.
because the experience I have when I was in China as an athlete, and that helps me kind of like a very self-disciplined person, that I kind of know like how much my bodies need and then what I need to take to keep my bodies healthy. And so, just transactions from China to here in the US, I have not yet have any issues with like, choosing foods or how to balance my body, speaking with nutrition wise.
Right, right. What about in terms of the coaching styles? Are there different coaching styles in China, or is it the impression that I get is it's very disciplined, right? And almost a little bit harder. Like the type of coach that you might get in China might be a little bit more strict, a little bit more disciplined. That this is just an outside looking in. Is that correct, or do you have coaches in China that are very nurturing as well? Is there a variety of coaching styles?
Yeah, there's I think it's just as like everyone is different and individualized, everyone is different. And so yes, in China we have different kind of coaching style as well. And people that is gonna put on this front of cameras, you guys might see in the last couple of years, might be more strict and maybe more little bit like, oh, this is what we're looking for and you have to be doing this. But
Right.
now it's kind of like you see more diverse, more Chinese athlete will be like smile in front of the cameras, and
Mm.
the training environments actually is changing in China, and I do think that's a great thing. And so that means they give it the coaches more flexibility to kind of create their own style, like what they want and looking for when they coach the kids, and what they want from the kids to gain with their experience. And I think that is a good sign that we want to be perfect. We want to be perfect in diving, but we also understand the human being and the
Mm.
emotions in humans.
Right. Well, why did you end up choosing coming to America? Was there a certain reason?
Yeah, because I was actually going through some of the emotional changes, and so eh, um, things happen. And when I was in my first college year, my freshman year there, and so at that time I was like my mental wasn't like really good, and
Hmm.
so I have some ups and downs with life changing and stuff. So I make the decision in 3 weeks. I said to myself, I'd be like, okay, wow, if I have to make myself to change. I needed to go to somewhere, a new environment, and the for the better mental wise is for me it is better. And so I make the decisions in 3 weeks and told my parents I want to come to US and I wanted to get a better educations. And so very appreciate for that opportunity. And I think the first year when I was arrived here in the US, it was very hard because the
Mm.
language was different. I wasn't speak as much English as I do today. And so the first year was struggle, but then, now look back and I'm very thankful for those experience, and even just like what divings in China helped me to build my personality, and like
Mm.
all the self disciplines and all the hard work that I have spent in my early athlete life. It didn't just like go away or anything, but it actually helped me to build who I am today.
Well, okay, awesome. I imagine now that you're going to kind of open up a pipeline to China. Is that right? Are you're going to be getting a lot of Chinese athletes come your way now, you think?
Well, it really up to what they wanted to do, because now that I'm here sitting on this position and looking back like to myself, like what I will do if I'm them.
Right. Hmm.
But it's like I want to focus today's with USA Diving and helping them to achieve to the next level. And that's why the reason I becomes a college coach, and because I think, well, just the experience that I had, experience I gained in the past couple of years as a coach, looking at the system, what can I do to better help the athlete? And it's not like just, well, helping USA diving, or any athlete that wanted to go to Olympic, wanted to have that dreams. I want to help them in any powers that I can.
Right. Awesome. I know that each program has its own philosophy on scholarship and the way they divide scholarship. So in terms of, you being able to create a team for yourself of divers, has there been any kind of agreement with the coaches to say, all right, I'm allowed this many scholarships a year? I know for men it's 9.9 total, and then for the women it's 14. So has there been any formal agreement of like, this is what I want, or do you just go to them individually and say, hey, I've got this diver, and talk to the coaches? How do you do it?
Yeah, so this is an open conversations between me and other coaches here at Cal's with Swim and Dive. And so right now, I don't like to ask for a specific number, because I think that will only, if I know, like, I think this is like more like a person. When you have the choice, you'd be like, oh, maybe this is the option that I have and I can do whatever I want. But to me, I want someone to help me with that process. So I told Dave, I told Terry when Terry was here, and so instead of they giving me scholarship, I wanted to go and ask them for it, and they are going to evaluate the divers with me together and tell me what they see, not for like from a coaching standpoint, but for like just their experience as a college coach, and help me to guide me to making the right decision. And so yes, when some programs like to give the dive coach like, oh, you get 3 full scholarship, you can work whenever you want. But then sometimes we all make back decision, and we all sometimes like not spend the money in a good way. But me, I want someone to help me to be a more disciplined person, and so I want to spend my monies in the right person, and so I don't get in fits in another way. So
yeah. I mean, that's interesting that you say that, because like you've only got a couple of choices, right? Like and you've only got a small amount of scholarships, so you've got to be very selective as well. So has the diving community kind of embraced that you're at Cal now? Like, is this exciting for some people? Is you starting to get more interest in the Cal diving program now because you're there?
yeah, I think I talked to a lot of coaches, a lot of parents, and even just my former divers, and everyone is very exciting that to me is that to take over the position, because one, my experience, yes, as a diver, as a coach today, and then also just knowing someone is more very consistency, and so it's not here for like have fun. Like, yes, we do have fun, but then like I said, I have that perfection backgrounds with me, and so I want to build something that's different. And so it is a very exciting here at Cal's, and very exciting to the diving community.
All right. Strange thing, I've never actually been to Cal, of all places. I've been to many pools in America. I've never been to Cal. So I do remember that there was a time where there was not a 10-meter platform. Do you guys have 10-meter now?
Oh yeah, we have a four towers of 3, 5, 7, 10, and then we have outdoor pools with our Legends facility, and there's 2 3-meter to 1-meter. It is a beautiful facility, and very exciting for people to come up there and jump up.
Wow. So in terms of facilities now, you don't really have to compete with anybody anymore. Like, you've got everything you need. You've got a great school. You've got a great city, place. Its location is incredible. So it seems like you're now, and you've got great swim teams, right? So like especially the men's team right now is number 1. So it shouldn't be crazy difficult to, you got the school, you got the facilities, you got the teams. Now it's just a matter of getting the right talent to come in. So what are you looking for in terms of the people that are going to join you and your team? Is there something specific that you're looking for?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'm really looking for divers who willing to put their hearts in it, and like we discussed before, like, it's only 20 hours a week. Like, how are we gonna better balance the hour? So I'm really looking for, I always have an open conversations with my recruits, with my potential divers. Okay, this is what we have. We only have 20 hours. How do you want it to spend it? Like, it's not up to me, it's up to you. Like, where do you want it to go? And so this is like an ongoing conversations in my futures with my future coaching as well. It's really, you tell me what you want, like what your character is. Like, I'm not going to tell you what I'm looking for, but what's your character? What do you want? What's your goal? And that is something that I'm looking for when I'm recruiting a diver. And so, yes, there's a lots of talented kids out there, but then if you are not going to be more consistent when you come into college and train with me, and so then you will not only spending my times as not a quality time, but you will actually just waste your own times as well. So that is
Right.
something that I'm not very into it, I would say. But looking for, if you're looking for a diver, I would say it's just like people that who willing to put the hearts in it. And so, you're willing to train, you're willing to spend the time as a quality times, and so you wanted to come with me, and then we'll cooperate together to be something that bigger than what we have achieved here at Cal's.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. In terms of training, and I'm trying to look for the similarities here, because the way that you enter the water is kind of the way that I want my swimmers to come off the wall. Like I want that streamline. Is there things that can translate from diving to swimming? Is there things that divers could teach swimmers?
Great questions. I think, well, I really like the, what do you call it? It's the flips under the water.
Yep.
I think
Flip.
that's a little bit, yeah. What is it called?
Yeah, it's just I mean, it's called a tumble turn or a flip or something. Yeah, I don't know what they call
Yeah,
it.
yeah. No, that's something I think is very interesting, because we do have the pike safe. We call it pike safe, or underwater saving, when we're doing the same things like a flip under the water. I think that it's a little bit similar with that, and I think it's very fun if we can put in swim and dive together, and to have something that come out to it. That would be really interesting.
How did you get your rip? That rip in diving, that sound where it's just like, the sound where it rips. Like what are you doing to get that effect?
Yeah, and the first thing first, it's always take practice. Like there's a few people that have that talent, but always it is a practice. It is thousand time of practice, and it kind of just like heading to the point that you kind of like get automatics with that. You know where to place your hand. You know how to swim to the water. It's like how you know when to kick on the boards and things like that. It's take practicing.
Right, right. Yeah, I always loved, the at Auburn, the diving tower was behind me, so I was coaching, and I could always hear when one of the divers just ripped, and I'd turn around and just start clapping, because you just heard the sound. It was like a beautiful, beautiful sound, and I loved it when they practiced that.
Yeah, me too. I very, yeah, but it is really take a lot of times involved with the reps, and those are the fundamental parts with divings, that you need to get those fundamentals parts right before you kind of putting everything on the towels or on the board.
Yeah. Now, one of the other things is it's dangerous, right? Like you're up at the 10 meter. It hurt if you get things wrong. And there was many times where the opposite, where I was facing the pool and I could hear something tragic happen behind me, and I was like, oh my God. So are you the type of coach who's like, all right, get back up there and do it again straight away?
Well, no, I will give them the option. So I'm a very open communicated person, and it's really, like I said, it's really up to what you wanted to do, and I'm not gonna force you to do things that you're not comfortable with or you don't want to do it. If you want to try it again, like, that's fine. Let's make sure that we take every steps right. But if you don't want to try it, like, I'm not gonna to force you to do it.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. What about you? What was your signature dive? Did you have one that you just love to hit?
I would say back. Back, it is my signature dive, and I'm really good with backs and reverse. And so, yeah, there's most of people is really good at fronts and inward, but I'm the opposite way. I'm very good at backs and reverse, and so those two dive are my favorites.
Is there any particular reason why you're a little bit different? Like why did you like the backs instead of the fronts?
I I I I like the front. Like, I don't have a difficult dive that I don't like.
Mm,
But if
mm,
you say signature dive, yes, back and reverse probably will be my signatures more than front and inward. and twister. And so, yeah, no, there's no particular reason. I'm just doing better with back and reverse than front and inward. So.
What about this? Is it important trait to be competitive in diving? Like I imagine, like you want to look for people that are super competitive too, right?
Yeah, so it's about the mindsets. Like you are a competitive person, you have a competitive mindset, and so those things can be built if you have the passions with diving first. And so we can kind of moving forward together to create a mindset that be more competitive. And so, when you want it to be competitive, but if your body is not there, there's a losing points over there. And so you want to be um, doing those type the good times first, and then you can be competitive more when you know that you can do it well.
Nice. What about who's the best male and female diver in the world right now? Who are the two top athletes in the world in diving?
Yeah, I would say two top ones. I really like this diver. She actually her coach actually was the coach that I had when I was in China. So probably everyone knows her on 10-meter dive. She won Olympic champions when she's 14 years old. And so Chen Hongtan is the girls that I really liked a lot. And then on the men's side, I would say favorite ones. I'm not gonna mention another Chinese because
Yeah, I was gonna say it's gonna be Chinese. It's gotta be Chinese, right?
I know. Yeah, I'm trying to really think into it. I know. That's a great question. I think Tom Daly's will be everyone knows and everyone's favorite, and he is actually one of my favorite divers to watch as well.
Right.
And so I'm really looking forward to watch his dive against very, very soon, and I hopefully that be more competitive in that ways as well.
Right. Yeah, I guess so. So, are there countries other than China that are competitive on the world stage? Like obviously America's got a lot of divers, a lot of diving programs, and they are fairly competitive. But like on the world stage, there's who are the big countries?
Yeah, besides China, I would say Australia is a very good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Australia, Canada, and then what was the other countries called? Ukraine, is that how Ukraine is that the ones? And then Australia, Canada's, Japan is actually doing very well in the world championship this year. And yeah, there's a lot of talents kids, a lot of talents diver that popping out on the surface, and really looking forward for the next Olympic again.
Yeah, Australia. That's the one.
Nah.
Get it. Well, good. Well, listen, I've appreciated this. This has been fun to kind of get to know you, get to know diving more. I did have a good relationship with my diving coach at Auburn and learned a lot from him, and he was always willing to help the swimmers. Do you think Dave will come to you and say, hey, can you help us with our streamlines over here?
Yeah, I like to watch them practice, because I think the only way that I can learn to an older experienced coach is that just sit on the pool deck and then just see how they react with the athlete, and then how they move with their body, what's their body language. And so there's one time I was on the pool deck watching the swimmers swim, and so he was like, do you need a watch? And I'm like, sure. I can tell the swimmers how fast they swim.
He's trying to recruit you to come over the swim side. Yeah, that's typical Dave. That's awesome. Well, listen, new job. Congratulations. Good luck with everything. Thanks for being my first diving guest on my podcast. I appreciate it. And and nice to know you. And we're gonna maybe start a dive. Don't tell anyone. We're gonna start a diving channel on Any Question, and you're gonna be on it, and you're gonna help me get some divers. We're gonna get a diving channel going. Okay.
Love it. I appreciate it. Like I said, I very appreciate for the opportunity, and really get to speak out and what the differences and what I can help in the future. But yeah, I'm very excited for it.
Yeah, good. You're gonna give us the insights into why China's so dominant. We're gonna figure it out. Okay. So thanks for doing this. I appreciate it. Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate you too as well.
Thanks, Pei. Bye. Destro Swim Towers. Gain strength in the water with a tower of power. Save $150 per double swim tower by using code BRETT, B-R-E-T-T, at checkout. DestroMachines.com. Vasa has been the go-to training tool outside of the pool for over 30 years. Vasa's products are ideal for developing power and proper technique in your swimmer's catch. Add a few Vasa trainers to your pool deck and it's like adding an extra lane to your swimming pool. Go to vasatrainer.com, use code BRETT at checkout and get 10% off anything from Vasa.